Hey everyone, this is Badass Reviewer, and today I'll be taking a look at the Toy Biz Fantastic Four. I want to say Marvel Legends. It's technically a Marvel Legends, but it's the Fantastic Four Classic. I think it's called the Thunder Launch thing. And I've been wanting to get this figure for a while, just because I was really curious as to how he stacked up against some other Marvel Legends Thing figures. And I finally got him, and I gotta say I'm pretty happy with this figure. It's in my opinion, I think it's the definitive version of the Thing for a Marvel Legends collection. He is a lot bigger than, I'd say. I don't have any of the old Toy Biz ones. The only other one that I have, and I'll grab him real quick. The only other Thing figure I have is this one right here from it was the Hasbro 2-pack, which I like this figure a lot, but it has a lot of problems, and the problem being that he is very small for being the Thing, much too small in my opinion. If you compare him to a Bucky Cap figure, looking at that there, he's not much taller than Bucky Cap, so that's really not good size comparison for the Thing. So this one here pretty much towers over the Hasbro version, which I think the old Toy Biz versions of the Thing are also bigger than this one. I like the sculpt on this. It's very nice, but it definitely does not stack up very well compared to this figure right here. He's got a very good size to him. He's very large. He's tall. Very menacing looking. That's everything I've always wanted in a Thing. And I tried looking up reviews for this guy, and I just couldn't find any. It seemed like every review was either not putting enough effort into giving a good detailed look at him, or it was just kind of bad quality. So I wanted to take this opportunity to kind of give you guys an in-depth look of the figure, and let you know that this is, in my opinion, the superior version of the Thing, unless the Hasbro comes out with a build-a-figure Thing figure, or he just comes out in a just a regular wave, which I think we might be in probably next year, I'd say, or the next year or two. Simply because we've seen that they're going to give us a new Invisible Woman figure. So that leads me to think that maybe we're going to get a new Human Torch and Mr. Fantastic, which I think will be great, because the old Mr. Fantastic figures don't really hold up that well. They kind of look like crap, in my opinion. I also have the 2-pack version of the Hasbro one that came with this Thing, and I think he's kind of garbage, in my opinion. It's a pretty bad figure. So hopefully we'll get a new one of Mr. Fantastic. And I really wouldn't be surprised if they, remade the Hulk, or not the Hulk, the Thing, simply because, he's long overdue for one. But quite honestly, I don't think I'd want to pick it up, because I think this figure right here is better. Taking a look at him, he's got really nice detail. He's not as rocky looking. Well, I mean, he's rocky obviously, but compared to the detail of this one, I really like the sculpt work on this. It's very much like you're holding a big rock, just made of plastic. I think it's a little too orange for me. I used to like this figure a lot, but I was kind of wanting something a bit bigger. And the more I think about it, he's just a little too orange for my taste. The way I always see the way I've always liked the Thing to look was kind of a dullish, kind of brownish orange. And this one's got I think he's got the perfect color. He looks pretty dirty. It kind of looks like he's been tossed around a bit. Not by the previous owner of this figure. I got this off of eBay, but it just kind of looks like he's very scuffed up from battle and stuff like that. And so it looks really nice. The detail on him is pretty good. The sculpt works nice. It's not as textured as this one here, but at least it looks really good, you know, for being the Thing. And I think for most part, all the Toy Biz figures are pretty much sculpted the same in terms of the his design. I wouldn't say, I'm not as if this is like the same mold that they've ever used, but I think every figure they've made of the Thing has this pretty simplistic design where it just kind of looks like he's a bunch of rocks and it's just kind of sculpted lines in there. So that's really nice. I like that a lot. His face, his head sculpt is really nice. He's got this very nice looking grimace. It's kind of hard to see his eyes, but they're there, so that looks good. He's got the big unibrow thing going on there. And he does have an angry look all the time, so it kind of sucks if you want him just to look kind of mellow. But considering this has an action figure or an action feature where he moves his arms, it's kind of to make it look like he has anger problems and that he's swinging his arms around. Which I would say the only downfall to this figure is the fact that he has an action feature, which is, you know, your typical button on the back that, you know, it'll move his arms up and down. It doesn't take away from the figure because you can still move the arms around. It is just kind of annoying that he's got this button on his back, which I'm sure you could probably remove if you really want to. It doesn't totally bother me, but if he didn't have it, I think this guy would just be 100% perfect. But you know, it was probably geared towards kids, so I can understand why, and not so much adult collectors. But for being a child's toy, this is a pretty good figure in my opinion. Looking at the rest of him, he's got kind of the more classic look on his for the pants, where the 4 is right in the center, which I think pretty much every iteration of the Thing is like that. I think for the most part. I'm not totally sure about how he looks nowadays, or maybe like his first appearance, I don't think he had it like that. But to me, I feel like this is like the classic and true outfit for the Fantastic Four, at least the you know, outfit that I've grown up knowing, and you know, just how I've always known them to be. Other than that, he's just got some more detail going on down the legs. He's got the sculpted work. It looks like it's got a nice wash going through pretty much the whole body. And like I said, it does look like the top layer of his like rock skin is kind of dirty, like he's been, you know, scuffed up and stuff. I don't know if that's necessarily, I don't know if that was intentional or if it's just from wear and tear of the figure. I was told that this was, you know, displayed only, it wasn't played with, so maybe it's just supposed to make it look like he's really gritty looking, which honestly it doesn't take away from the figure, so it looks very nice. But other than that, that's about it. The sculpt work is great. I think the size of him is great, and I already showed you the size comparison between him and the old, or the, well, I guess it's old now, but the Hasbro one, which isn't really a good comparison because this one, honestly, it's not very good. The articulation is kind of garbage, and he's really small, like I said. Here is Bucky Cap here, so you can kind of get a good idea of how tall he is. Here he is next to Nuke, just because I had him on hand. Gonna make a custom out of him. You can kind of see he's pretty good size. If I get his arm out of the way, he's, you know, he's right up there with the Hulk. I don't know if I have a Hulk figure on me at the moment. Let me see real quick. And then I just have some figures on hand. I've been doing customs and looking at figures for references and stuff, so like that. So here he is next to like She-Hulk. If you can see that. I'm sorry, it's kind of in the way. I know I'm still in the process of kind of getting a different review station, and I haven't really made videos in a while, so I haven't put much effort into it. But here's them side by side. Now She-Hulk's a pretty tall character as it is, so they are pretty much up to height with each other, which I think is a really good size. Now if I can find Hulk, maybe not. I thought I had a Hulk figure laying around, but we could use Red Hulk. He's kind of relatively the same size. So here we are with this. And honestly, if you're I think the other Hulk, I was trying to use the more recent Hulk figure that's came out as a reference, but as you can see, he's pretty good size. I always imagine him being a little smaller than the Hulk is. So I think it's perfect scaling. Definitely really happy about that, because I've always wanted a Thing figure that was, a beefcake. And I just could never find one that was good enough for me, but this is definitely the one. I think out of all the Toy Biz and Marvel Legend, or the Hasbro Thing figures, this is definitely the best one. And it's pretty hard to find for the most part, and if you do find him, he is pretty expensive. Fortunately for me, I got this guy for like 22 bucks, so I think that's a pretty good deal for this figure. Like I buy that on the shelf, no problem, brand new. But still really nice figure. And so let's go over articulation real quick. The head is on a ball hinge and a swivel. He looks side to side. It does kind of crane up a little bit just because of his neck, but he does look up. He looks up a decent amount, not too terribly much, but he does look down. So that's nice. The arms go out. They get about 90 degrees on both sides, so that's really nice, because the other one, I think the other one does too, but that's really good range of motion for that, which is, really good for getting action poses and stuff like that. He's got a bicep swivel, a single joint in the elbow, but he gets just about 90 degrees, which is good enough for me. I wouldn't expect anything more than that. He's got individually articulated fingers, which is awesome, and they pretty much fold to be a perfect fist. So that's really awesome. The way they sculpted the hand, they kind of made his hand go in a little bit. The fingers look really strange when they're completely folded out. And if his fingers weren't crimped like this, if that's even the word that you want to use, if his fingers weren't like this, they'd be even longer, which I think is kind of weird looking. So it's just best to keep his fingers, in a fist, which honestly, I don't see a reason why the Thing would need anything else besides fists, because he shouldn't be holding anything unless you want to use it to, have him pick something up. But yeah, so that's really nice. The fingers are articulated, and gets a good range of motion there. He's got a swivel on the wrist, no hinge or anything like that, but that's good enough for me. I don't really need much more than that. There's no articulation in the torso area, unfortunately, which doesn't bother me too much, honestly, because I feel like it would just make the sculpt look kind of funky, and really there's no reason for it, in my opinion. He doesn't really need to crunch down very much, and pretty much you could just kind of get him to kneel down and it would look fine. But he does rotate at the waist, so that's nice. His legs can go in and out and forward. They kind of go out funky, but honestly that's okay with me, because you can still get him in a really good like running and crouch pose if you wanted to kind of look like he was getting ready to leap in the air or something, which I don't know if he actually does that or not. I will say the legs, they don't come together very well. They're always like, this is as close as they get to each other. It doesn't really look bad. Honestly, that's probably how far he would need to have his legs out to stand up straight. He'd probably be really top heavy, but you probably need adequate room to kind of get him to stand if you have him on a display or something, just because he takes up a lot of leg space. But he stands up very well, especially since he's got ankle rockers. He's got an upper thigh swivel, double jointed knee, which is really nice. Kind of stiff on mine, but gets the job done. He's got an ankle rocker, and like I said, he's got the pivot, and then he's got toe articulation, which helps out a lot for more posing. So sorry this video is so long, but I just kind of wanted to get as much detail about this guy as possible, because I feel like everyone needs to know that this is, in my opinion at least, the definitive version of the Thing for a Marvel Legends collection. I think Hasbro is probably going to make one in the next year or two, maybe not. I don't think it would be as good as this. It might be a little bit funky, but this one's really good I would definitely say this is probably the one you'd want to pick up if you're looking for a definitive thing figure. He's got the size, he's got the articulation. You really couldn't ask more out of this figure. The only downside, like I said, is the action feature that he has with the fist, but it's really not that big of a deal. So as long as you can look past that, I'd say this figure is a really good figure. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will talk to you later.